My girlfriend said, "I'm too young to be tied down. I need to explore my options." Those words hit me harder than any breakup line I'd ever imagined. 3 years together, and she just dropped that bomb over cheap tacos and margaritas at our favorite little Mexican place in Brooklyn. I stared at her, stunned, feeling the air leave the room. Her name's Emily. I'm 28. She's 25. We were supposed to move into our first apartment together next month. I'd already put down the deposit. 3 years. 3 years of mornings, late-night talks, and shared playlists gone. In one sentence, Emily and I met at a friend's trivia night in Queens. She was sharp, witty, and effortlessly beautiful. The kind of girl who could make you laugh while completely wrecking your heart. We survived her moving across the state for her graduate internship. My promotion that required long hours, even a long-distance stretch that tested everything we had. And yet, here we were, sitting across from each other with our plates half-eaten. Me sketching out ideas for furniture layouts, while she fidgeted with her napkin. "Derek," she said, finally putting down her fork. "We need to talk." My stomach sank. Nobody starts a serious conversation that way without it meaning the end of the world or, at least, the end of us. "I've been thinking," she continued, twirling her hair like she always did when nervous. "I'm 25. I've only been with 3 guys, including you, and I feel like I'm missing out on experiences. I think I need to explore my options." I blinked. "Explore?" I asked slowly. "We're moving in together, not getting married tomorrow, but that's where we're headed, right? Isn't that the plan? Move in, maybe get engaged, then?" She reached across the table, her hand brushing mine. "Yeah, but I need to see what else is out there before settling down. I don't want to regret anything later." I pulled my hand back. "Emily, if you leave to explore, that's it. Permanently. I'm not waiting." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Don't be dramatic. People take breaks all the time." "This isn't a break," I said, my voice tight. "You're ending 3 years to sleep around. That's what this is." Her eyes softened, a little pity in them. "I know you're upset, but you'll understand eventually. We're meant to be together, Derek. I just need this out of my system first." I exhaled, trying to stay calm. "Fine, explore away." I pushed cash across the table for my half of the meal, got up, and left. I called the landlord on the way home. Lost $600 on the deposit, but saved myself from an even bigger headache later. That night, I blocked her on everything. No drama, just decisive action. She wanted freedom. She could have it without me watching from the sidelines. 2 months passed. I thought it was over. But of course, it wasn't. First came the messages from her friend Tessa, her best friend, pleading with me to talk to her. Then her sister found me on LinkedIn, tagging me in casual small talk messages about upcoming parties. I ignored all of it. Then came the coincidental run-ins, my local coffee shop, the grocery store, the bookstore on Saturday mornings. Each time, she acted surprised, like our meetings were pure chance. "Derek, what are the odds?" she'd say, with that fake smile. The third time, I just told her, "Pretty high, considering this is my usual routine." Meanwhile, I kept living. I joined a weekend basketball league, started a coding bootcamp at work, even got promoted to team lead. It turns out, focusing on yourself without the constant pressure of maintaining romantic dinners and late-night texts sexually feels pretty amazing. Productivity soared, and I realized I was happier than I'd been in months. Then, out of nowhere, she showed up at my apartment. Hoodie on, messy hair, looking like the girl I used to know. "We need to talk," she said. I unlocked the door, keeping my distance. "No, we don't," I replied, calm but firm. "You had 3 years. You traded them for 6 months of exploring. How'd that work out?" Tears formed in her eyes. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "I dated, I explored. And now I know you're the one I want." I laughed. "You're the one I wanted, but I don't want you anymore." You see, I moved on, like you asked me to. Her face fell. Moved on? With who? Doesn't matter, I said. What matters is I didn't wait around like you expected. Go home, Emily. She didn't move. I'll wait, she said. You'll realize we're meant to be together. That's when I called building security. She was escorted out while yelling about true love and second chances. But the saga didn't end there. She escalated, showing up at my job, sending flowers, creating social media accounts to stalk me, even calling my mum. I kept my distance, documented everything, and prepared for the inevitable legal fallout. Because when someone shows you they only see you as a backup plan, you don't get second chances. The next few weeks felt like living in a nightmare I hadn't signed up for. Emily's attempts to insert herself back into my life escalated in ways I hadn't anticipated. First, it was texts from unknown numbers, her best friend Tessa, her cousin, even one from someone claiming to be a neighbor asking if I'd seen her. I ignored them all. My phone stayed silent on purpose. Then came the accidental run-ins, which weren't so accidental. At first, I chalked it up to coincidence. Emily walking past my favorite coffee shop on 9th Street, showing up at the grocery store, pretending to browse like she didn't notice me. But after the third time, the illusion shattered. Derek. Fancy seeing you here. She chirped, hair pulled back, sunglasses perched on her head, like a celebrity trying to be casual. Yeah. Pretty high odds, given this is where I go every Saturday, I said flatly, moving toward the She tried to laugh it off, like it was playful. It wasn't. She was watching, calculating. I could see it in the way she scanned my cart, the subtle tilt of her head, the half smile that didn't reach her eyes. Social media wasn't any better. Mutual friends started sharing photos from her exploration phase, like it was a full-time project. Different dates every week. Weekends in Vegas, pool parties, Hinge check-ins plastered across Instagram stories. I had to admit it stung, a little, but only at first. I started focusing on myself, and soon enough, it felt empowering. I joined a weekend basketball league. I enrolled in a coding bootcamp my company offered. Work became a welcome distraction. I even got promoted to team lead. For the first time in months, I realized I wasn't missing. Emily was thriving without her. And then she showed up at my apartment. Hoodie, messy hair, that old, vulnerable look I remembered. We need to talk, she said, soft, almost pleading. No, we don't, I said calmly. You had 3 years. You traded them for 6 months of exploration. How'd that work out for you? Tears pooled in her eyes. I made a mistake, she whispered. I explored, I dated. And I know now you're the one I want. I couldn't help but chuckle. I'm the one you want now, after putting me on layaway. I moved on, Emily. You told me to explore. I did what you asked. Now it's my turn to choose, and I choose myself. She froze. Moved on? With who? I shrugged. Doesn't matter. What matters is that I didn't wait around like you expected me to. Go home, Emily. Instead, she planted herself in front of my door. I'll wait. You'll realize we're meant to be together. That was my breaking point. I called building security. She protested, shouted about true love, and insisted she just wanted closure. They escorted her out while she screamed, leaving me with the uneasy feeling that this was only the beginning. Sure enough, the escalation came quickly. Flowers at work, messages to my manager claiming I'd abandoned her, new social media accounts targeting me with cryptic posts and inside jokes. She even called my mom, crying, claiming I had unfairly cut her out. I realized I needed documentation. Everything texts, voicemails, unexpected visits went into a folder. Every encounter, every interaction, every escalation was recorded. I even consulted my lawyer friend Anthony, who told me bluntly, if this keeps up, you're going to need a restraining order. And you need to be meticulous. No missed details. The final straw came during what was supposed to be a normal date. Harper, The girl I'd met at the coding boot camp was smart, funny, and genuinely interested in me, not a backup plan, not a safety net. We were at a small Italian restaurant, laughing over pasta, when I felt it before I saw it. Derek, Harper's voice faltered. I turned. Emily, dressed in a red dress, the same one I'd bought for our second anniversary, was standing at the bar, scanning the room like a predator, sizing up her target. Derek. What a coincidence, she said, forcing a smile. I just thought I'd leave, I said, firmly. Harper squeezed my hand. I turned back to Emily. You're embarrassing yourself. This is pathetic, not romantic. Her face twisted, disbelief and fury mingling. I'm your girlfriend. You can't just ignore me. I can, and I will, I said. You're trespassing, harassing me, and stalking me. Step back before this becomes legal. She lunged for my phone. Harper's wineglass went flying, ruining her blouse. The restaurant manager intervened immediately. I pointed out the harassment. Emily realized she miscalculated. She stomped off, yelling about true love and second chances, leaving a trail of chaos behind her. By the next morning, I filed for an emergency protective order. Court was scheduled for next week. I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over, but I was ready. I had documented everything, and I wasn't letting her dictate the narrative anymore, because the truth was simple. I wasn't anyone's safety net, and I wouldn't be waiting while she found herself. Not now, not ever. Court day arrived like a storm I had been bracing for. I showed up early, folder thick with every scrap of evidence I had collected, texts, voicemails, screenshots of her social media harassment, security reports from the restaurant incident, and statements from Harper and witnesses. Anthony, my lawyer friend, sat beside me, scanning the files one last time. Emily arrived with her mother, dressed conservatively, hair in a neat bun, minimal makeup, looking like she was ready to plead her case to a church congregation rather than a courtroom. Her transformation from party girl to innocent victim was almost impressive, but I knew better. I had lived this nightmare, and I wasn't buying it. Her lawyer, a young guy in a rented suit, tried to frame it as a misunderstanding between former lovers. Your Honor, he said, my client simply wants closure. She's been trying to apologize for ending the relationship abruptly. The judge looked over his glasses at the stack of papers I had. Counselor, did you review all evidence? Specifically, the voicemail where your client says, and I quote, I can see your light on. Even her lawyer looked uncomfortable. Emily, ignoring his whispered advice, raised her hand. Your Honor, she began, voice trembling, Derek and I had 3 beautiful years together. I made one mistake. I asked for space to grow as a person, and now he's punishing me for it. I felt my jaw tighten. The judge flipped through the papers slowly. You ended the relationship too, in your words. Explore your options. Emily nodded. Yes, but he said it would be permanent. He was upset, but he didn't mean it. Ma'am, you are 25 years old. Old enough to understand consequences, the judge interrupted. You ended a relationship. He accepted it and moved on. Your refusal to accept his decision has led to stalking, harassment, and assault. Emily's eyes welled up. I didn't assault anyone. I only tried to grab his phone after following him to the restaurant while he was on a date. Yes, and that constitutes harassment, the judge replied firmly. Restraining order granted. 2 years, no contact. Stay 500 feet away. Full compliance required. I exhaled, a mix of relief and vindication washing over me. As we left the courtroom, her mother cornered me in the parking lot, voice sharp. Are you happy now? You've humiliated her, destroyed her reputation. I looked at her steadily. Mrs. Collins, Emily, did this to herself. She loved the idea of having me waiting as a backup plan. There's a difference between love and entitlement. She huffed, muttering, You'll die alone with that attitude. Anthony stepped in. Ma'am, any further contact from you or your daughter will be considered a violation of the protective order. Walk away. Emily spat one last comment over her shoulder. Yeah, he was too good for me anyway. The aftermath was swift. Emily lost her job after repeated absences and bizarre behavior. Her Instagram transformed from party pics to motivational posts about self-discovery and therapy. Tessa reached out one last time through a mutual friend, letting me know Emily was in therapy. I hoped she learned something, but we were done. Permanently, Harper and I started dating, slowly but genuinely. She laughed one evening, teasing, "I knew you were worth it when your crazy ex showed up." Dark humor, but I agreed. My parents were supportive in their own ways. My mum texted weekly, "Thank God you didn't marry that girl." My dad simply nodded when I told him the story, handled better than I would have. Looking back, I realized the signs had always been there. Emily never saw me as a partner, only a stable accessory she could pick up and put down at her convenience. Walking away, even while she stalked me, was the best decision I ever made. The $600 deposit, best money I ever lost, saved me from a future that would have been far more expensive, emotionally and financially. The lesson was clear. You're not a safety net. You're not required to wait while someone else finds themselves. If someone shows you how they value you, or don't believe them. And sometimes, the legal paperwork protecting your peace of mind is worth more than any promises ever could be. The days after the court ruling felt like stepping into sunlight after months of storm. For the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe without looking over my shoulder, without wondering if Emily was lurking somewhere, plotting her next move. Harper and I started seeing each other more regularly, carefully, without the shadow of my past hanging over every conversation. She wasn't a rebound, wasn't a placeholder. She was genuinely there because she wanted to be. I threw myself into my work even more. As team lead, I found myself mentoring junior developers, enjoying the sense of accomplishment that came from helping others grow. I even started volunteering at a local coding workshop for teens on weekends. It felt good to channel my energy into something positive, productive. I also picked up habits I'd long ignored: morning runs through Prospect Park, late-night journaling, cooking meals for myself, music blasting while I cleaned the apartment. I discovered a small freedom in solitude that I hadn't realized I craved. It wasn't loneliness. It was clarity. It was ownership over my own life. Social media, once a source of tension, became a tool for inspiration rather than anxiety. I started following accounts focused on personal growth, fitness, and travel, things that reflected the life I wanted, not the chaos Emily had tried to drag me into. I even posted a few pictures myself: a coding hackathon, a basketball game, a weekend hike. I didn't flaunt my independence. I just celebrated it. My friends noticed the change too. Trevor, my best friend since college, kept teasing me. "Bro, you went from heartbroken to hero of your own story. Didn't even break a sweat." I laughed, but inside I felt something heavier: relief, pride, and a strange sense of vindication. I hadn't just survived Emily's chaos. I had thrived because of it. Mum still texted her messages, a mix of humor and pride. "Thank God you didn't marry that girl," she wrote almost every week. Dad, quiet as ever, gave me a nod during dinner one evening. "Handled it better than I could have," he said. I smiled, feeling the weight of approval that comes from knowing your choices, though hard, were right. Emily. I hadn't heard from her directly in months. Tessa, through mutual friends, let me know she was in therapy, learning to recognize her mistakes. I hoped she grew, truly grew, but it was no longer my responsibility. I had learned the hard truth. Some people only value you as long as you're convenient. The moment you assert your worth, they either change or fade away, and I, finally, understood my own worth. I wasn't a safety net, a placeholder, or an accessory. I was a partner, a friend, a man with boundaries and standards. The chaos Emily created, the stalking, the manipulation, it all underscored the life I didn't want to live. And now, every choice I made reinforced the life I did want. Harper and I kept it slow. No rush, no assumptions. just two people enjoying the present and building a foundation for the future. We laughed, shared quiet dinners, and sometimes, late at night, she'd tease me about my ex-drama saga. I'd just smile, realizing how far I'd come. The apartment, once a source of tension, became my sanctuary. I decorated it exactly how I wanted, hung the art I loved, rearranged furniture late at night just because it made me happy. Every corner reminded me, this was my life, my space, my choices. Looking back, I realized the clarity came not just from moving on, but from standing firm when I needed to. When Emily left, when she tried to drag me back into chaos, when she stalked, harassed, and lied, I stood my ground. That $600 deposit, small price for peace. Every legal form, every recorded message, every document hit, wasn't just offense. It was affirmation. Life isn't about waiting for someone to come back. Life is about living for yourself, protecting your peace, and knowing that when someone shows you their true colors, you listen. And I had listened. And I had acted. Now, 3 months later, I was genuinely happy. Not distracted, not hopeful for someone who wasn't committed. Just happy, safe, free, and finally, in control of my own story. By the time summer rolled around, life had finally settled into a rhythm I hadn't known I could enjoy. Harper and I were seeing each other regularly, the relationship steady and healthy, built on mutual respect rather than chaos. I laughed more than I had in months, and I slept without waking up in panic, checking to see if Emily had somehow appeared in my apartment again. Emily, on the other hand, was unraveling in real time. Her social media transformed from party snapshots to endless motivational posts about self-discovery and learning from mistakes. According to mutual friends, she lost her job after showing up sporadically, claiming emotional crises related to me. Tessa checked in one last time, confirming that Emily had started therapy and was slowly confronting her behavior. I didn't need to hear any more. I had no desire to step back into her drama. She had created her own downfall. The restraining order worked exactly as intended. Every time I saw a post about her online or heard an update from friends, I felt relief rather than anxiety. I had my life back. No stalking, no harassment, no guilt. Every legal form, every folder of evidence, every voicemail recorded, all validated that I had made the right choice. One afternoon, Harper and I walked through Prospect Park, the sun glinting through the autumn leaves. She teased me gently about my ex-girlfriend saga, and I laughed out loud, the memory no longer painful, only absurd. Honestly, she said, grinning, only a quality guy could have a stalker this committed. You're lucky, in a really dark way. I shook my head, smiling. Dark humor, but true. And honestly, I wouldn't change it. I learned a lot about boundaries and picking the right people to invest in. I thought back to that taco place. The day Emily dropped the bomb that she needed to explore her options. At the time, I had felt blindsided and betrayed. But the truth was, that moment had set the entire course for my personal growth. Losing her, blocking her, reclaiming my life, it wasn't just survival. It was empowerment. The apartment, once a point of tension, became my sanctuary. Every corner reflected my choices. The furniture I loved, the art I chose, the shelves filled with books I wanted. For the first time, I realized my happiness didn't depend on anyone else, depended on me. I still received occasional updates from mutual friends. Emily was learning, they said. Therapy was helping. Maybe one day, she'd understand what she lost. Maybe she wouldn't. It didn't matter. I had no intention of re-entering that chaos. I had no need to. And so life moved on. Harper and I continued building something genuine. I focused on my career, my hobbies, my friendships. I laughed, I played, I lived fully. The $600 deposit, a small price for a lifetime of lessons. The chaos Emily caused, a stark reminder to value myself above anyone else's entitlement. In the end, I realized the simplest truth. Some people aren't meant to stay. They aren't meant to grow with you, they're meant to show you your worth by leaving. And if you're wise enough to see it, to act decisively, and to move forward, you don't just survive, you thrive. Emily's chapter had closed. My story was just beginning.